I rise for the second time to express that I am in very strong support of the legislation as amended that is before us today for many reasons, but primarily because it is in the best interest of our state of Connecticut for both economic and environmental reasons. And if I may again, I would just like to commend the leadership on both sides of the aisle for keeping the discussion going, and also to House Speaker Joe Simowitz for allowing the bill to be called today. As we said, this debate has been going on for 24 months, and it's really vital that we take action today. I would like to try to dispel some of the false arguments that have been promulgated over the last 24 months and try to explain that the bill in front of us, the legislation in front of us today, what it is and what it is not. First, I'd like to begin by saying that this legislation is not a subsidy. I'll repeat it. It is not a subsidy. What it does actually is it allows nuclear power to be allowed to make a bid into the state procurement process if it's deemed necessary. There's tremendous oversight that is attached to the legislation by both PURA and DEEP, so there is really, truly no risk here. This is a procurement process that currently exists in state contracts, and we do allow large hydropower, which is a company outside of the United States, into this procurement process without questions asked. So I would just say this is a Connecticut company, and it seems to only be fair practice in a deregulated market to allow them to bid into the process. Again, it does not mean that there's a mandate to offer the bid. It allows DEEP and PURA to give tremendous oversight and to see if the bill is in the best interest of the ratepayer. I think this is a very important point to emphasize: in the best interest of the ratepayer. And if, in fact, it is not deemed that this will help lower electricity rates, there's no obligation to give the bid. I can tell you, as I know you're all very well aware, that we have some of the very highest electricity prices in the nation, with only Alaska and Hawaii that fall just a little behind us. And it's incumbent upon us as legislators to do what is in the best interest of Connecticut's ratepayers. This allows the potential to lower electric bills for our consumers. And particularly, I'm thinking about our seniors on fixed incomes, our middle-class families. I think all of us, wherever we go, we hear repeatedly, is there anything we can do about lowering our electricity bills? Well, this right now in front of us today is that option. We cannot afford to squander this opportunity to allow our nuclear power into this procurement process. And has been said by my colleagues, let's keep in mind, to reach our comprehensive energy strategy plan and our integrated resources plan, we need nuclear. We need nuclear power. It generates 98% carbon-free energy, and it prevents many of the pollutants, such as sulfur and nitrogen oxides, into the air, which creates smog and acid rain. And this is also posing a health problem to many of our residents. The actual deferral of cost is in the neighborhood of $6 billion that Millstone is contributing, avoiding these risks that the pollutants cause in the air. So I would say that for the environment, this is crucial. And it was mentioned by my colleagues that we're looking to move to renewables. Everyone is, and I can say for myself, this legislation does not hurt or hinder us moving forward on solar and wind. The RFPs in the solicitation process are different, so this will not in any way harm those entities for continuing to meet our clean air goals. I think that's an important piece to underline. Another very important factor, and I know firsthand, having met and been in continuous contact with the executives and leaders of Dominion, that they will close. This is not a bluff, as I've heard throughout the chamber. They are very serious because they will need to make a business decision. And I've asked, well, what about the timing? And why couldn't we hold? The answer that I received was that the company needs to make a business decision because they are planning to put in over $700 million into the facilities for upgrade and maintenance on their reactors and the facilities. This is a very substantial amount of money to put forward if the legislature is not going to allow them into this procurement process, which gives them a little bit of stability going forward. And finally, I'd just like to say, as the legislator from Waterford, Millstone is housed in my hometown, and this is as much about a jobs bill than the other areas that I've spoken. Millstone employs over 1,500 employees on support services, another 3,000, over 4,000 employees in the state of Connecticut. They contribute back over $1.5 billion into the economy. They're a great corporate community partner helping us in our district throughout the years, and I would be remiss if I didn't say that they pay to the town of Waterford close to $30 million, and when we look at the comparison, when we talked about GE and the impact on Fairfield and what that would cost, we were in the neighborhood of $2 million. So this is a tremendous amount for my district to absorb. It would be devastating to our schools, the programs, the education, all of the infrastructure that has built up in Waterford. So I would like to say that this legislation before you today is a win-win. It's good for the economy, it's good for the environment, it's good for jobs, it's a transition period over to more renewables in the state. There's no risk involved, but there will be a tremendous loss to us here in the state if this bill does not go through today. So I would like to encourage all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to really support this bipartisan piece of legislation that is one of the most important pieces that will come in front of this assembly for a long time. Thank you.